Welcome back, everyone, to the Functional Code. We are excited to bring you guys today a new episode. We are going to be talking about friendship, relationships, all the goods. This is a core episode, so we've talked about this in the past. We're breaking down just the essentials, the gems, the nuts, the bolts from our long form. So as always, I am Dr. Addy.
And I am Dr. Jace, with upgrading your circle, which I absolutely love that.
Yep.
We're going to be looking at the health longevity and why you want to have relationships long-term, how that affects not only your mental, physical health. What are some of the challenges right now with friendship and modern relationships, especially post-COVID, which is a whole thing in itself.
Agreed.
We're going to get into some tools for building and maintaining connections between people, and then also how AI can help your relationships, and a couple other fun small things we'll get to at the end as well. Doc, perfect place to start, understanding maybe some of the research or the reasons why we want to have connections. I know myself, I tend to be more to myself more times than not, like naturally. I'm more reserved versus like outgoing.
Yes.
But knowing that we still need those times to connect to others.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand the neurochemical processes involved with meeting up with friends and having long-term partners. Yeah. Relationships reduce stress and they increase lifespan, they protect our mental health, but there's plenty of scenarios that they've done in studies that have shown why you need to be going out of your house and meeting with people like yourselves. And for men, there was a study that showed twice a week was actually the perfect amount of time to go and meet up with other guy friends. And that showed the highest, we'll call it, increase in neurochemical response. And as far as mental health and improving their life, that was twice a week. And I know myself, I sometimes it's like once a month. And I think it used to be different. I think there used to be more community in what we used to have, but as cities get bigger and we start to become more just spread across, right? It's tougher to maybe have that kind of community setting, where back in the day, these cities were smaller and you could interact much more easily, which is why, I don't know about yourself, but where I grew up, it was completely rural, really rural. And so community was very easy, and I miss it. I miss having that with my family and my friends. Coming into a new city and trying to grow a community from the start is difficult, and it can be really tough. So not only that, but coming to a new community after COVID, where it's just been a lot easier for people to get what they want from their phone, and the communication style is all done from their phone. Relationships now, I can't remember what the statistic was, but I think like 1 in 5, maybe even less now, relationships are forming from digital.
Oh, I'm sure it's way more.
I used to be 1 in 5. I think it's probably 1 in 3 now. But And I think what it did was COVID solidified this habit of staying in, staying away, and we got so used to that we didn't even realize that we need to come out of that again. We got used to door dashing everything and Instacart and Zooms and it's just, I know it's more efficient. It can absolutely be argued that it's more efficient, but it's also extremely beneficial to meet up and connect and communicate in person. It's more intimate. It just has a lot more benefits than people realize.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think a lot of that will come back to, this is all people skills. It's all one-on-one connecting with someone. Yes, technology will make it easier to communicate to people outside of your connection.
For sure.
But at the same time, you have to have the people around you and be able to communicate one-on-one, face-to-face, and ideally in person, to feel and to get more of these neurochemicals to elicit from yourself. Like, you can still create that connection even if you're in solitude, but still use technology to connect with yourself long term. Like, obviously we see long distance, like PayPal's relationships, but it's not the same being there in person. Relationships, friendships, work, life, but to keep that hand in hand as we look forward from there. So in terms of some of the challenges that I think we're facing, dopamine spikes, social media,
100%,
where everyone's just concerned about themselves and their perception of reality is filtered into their interests.
Yep.
That's some of that when we're trying to promote some of the videos with the podcast. Yes, we're trying to connect with people and give them tools and applications to help them in their life, but at the same time, we also have to take their perspective into consideration to even reach them in the first place. So it's a weird dynamic from that perspective.
What are people looking and asking for?
Yes.
And what can we then help them with what they're asking, for sure.
100%. So some of that might be framing how we ask or say questions, but I think naturally we're just trying to be ourselves and give back.
Yeah.
I think once we have that framework, and again, that goes back to the people skills, naturally things just fall in place.
For sure.
Which I think is, from what I can see, we're helping a bunch of people, and I'm getting nothing but grace. And there's some people that don't maybe like how we communicate or maybe certain things that we say, but I think that's taken out of context from short videos to going back to the reasons why.
For sure.
So they can understand and see it.
Yeah, and I think people are just always going to have preconceived notions. They're going to have personal experiences and reasons why they're just naturally maybe against what we're saying, just based off of biases and thoughts and processes. And so it's harder to, and here's the deal, you go into something like this and you try to please everyone, you're going to get hurt really quickly. Joe Rogan even said, he goes, dude, he tells a lot of his people that's on his shows to stop reading their YouTube comments or stop reading their comments on their social media. I think Theo Vaughn was maybe one of them.
I know Taylor Swift, she took off all her comments.
Yeah, but Rogan was like, you got to stop reading that stuff. He's like, I know, it's just tough. And he's like, no, like seriously, it has like nothing to do with you. A lot of the times those arguments in the comments and all the fights, it's people that are miserable and they're just, their joy in life is just to bring other people down. And again, that's definitely a struggle of connecting with people, is you may connect with people that you just don't like, and maybe that wasn't meant to happen. But again, there is a lot of concern now with people not connecting enough, and rising rates of singlehood and how lonely a lot of these people are out there. And there's a lot of statistics that are coming out. They say 1 in 4 are going to end up single for the rest of their life now.
That's crazy.
1 in 3 men have not had sex in the last year. There's studies that are showing that this was done on a dating platform. So this is just off of one perspective. So this is a subset of individuals looking for maybe something other than a relationship, but it is a relationship app. I don't know. Like those things, some are looking for courtship, some are looking for intercourse. It's just, it can be different. So that's a tough population to study. But what they showed was there was a large amount of the population of women swiping for a small amount of the population of men.
Yes.
And what these men a lot of them probably end up doing is just cycling through a large population of the women and not actually courting or nesting with these women. And what that can also contribute to is not long-term relationships, and a lot of the other percent of men who aren't getting attention are incredibly lonely. And that community of men is growing, and they're feeling neglected and isolated. And what it's also creating is this decline in marriage and birth rate kind of scare that might be coming up. And Elon Musk has talked a lot about that too. And I think when it comes to relationships, the modern relationship, it's very tricky because the culture is changing, and women now have the ability to make just as much, if not more, than men. And I think what that can create is a different understanding of what men and women want differently in a relationship. And some people want a more traditional relationship and others don't. And if you're not willing to adapt to maybe the new understanding of the relationship, different than your parents or even your grandparents,
well stated,
then I think it's going to be a struggle for a lot of you. Now, you might be able to find someone who wants a traditional lifestyle relationship, and that's great. But I think more are not wanting that. And I think if you are just looking to have that traditional lifestyle, it'll be harder for you to find a mate in a lot of the settings that I think that are being built. And to say that one is better than the other, that, oh, we should just go back to being traditional, it's really tough, because you also have to look at where women have come from.
Yes.
They haven't made as much as we have, and they also didn't even have the right to vote less than 100 years ago. And there's things that they are getting that they finally should have been getting, and they're looking for something different. And not all of them are looking to have kids as much as they used to as well, at least not till later in life. And again, all of this is changing. And if we're not, as men, and this is just me talking as a man, I can't talk about what women are thinking about or what's going on. I can have my predictions, but as a man, if we're going to improve the marriage and birth rate, we're going to have to learn how to adapt, how to communicate better, how to meet the needs that they're asking for. And to be honest, I ask women this, and I ask them, what is it that, allowed your husband to, why did you choose your husband? I'll ask my friends that. A lot of the times it's very similar, and has nothing to do with what a lot of men think it is supposed to be.
Yes.
Really, they feel safe, they feel protected, and they feel like they can communicate and show up as a partner. And you just don't even understand how simple that sounds, but complex that can be.
Yeah, work on
day by day.
Yeah.
Day by day. But unfortunately, the post-COVID social scene now has created such an even harder ability for people to meet up, to connect. And now I think we're getting too comfortable with digital, too comfortable with Zooms. And now you're just finding these communities of people that don't even leave their house. And that's going to be a struggle moving forward.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially like when you look at past civilizations, the downfall for most, going back to what Doc said, is the population rates start to diminish so much that the younger generation can't support the older. And there's some question marks with technology and some AI stuff as well. But I think looking back at the perspective of a lot of this is happening mainly in America, I think in a couple other major markets throughout the world.
Yep.
Interesting enough, I was coming across a couple like short form videos of individuals talking on similar topics of this, but in different countries.
Sure.
And they're saying, again, from a male's perspective on some of the videos of, it's easier to communicate and relate and talk with like people that are or females that are very attractive in other countries versus here. If you maybe not a 9 or 10, you try to talk to the opposite sex of maybe a more attractive levels, the communication is just, oh, I'm above you and I don't feel like I should be talking with you. I think that's a huge flip to where it doesn't matter what a person looks like or what they have. If you can still have conversations, yes, maybe not giving off like lustful communication is a whole thing. So you may have to pay attention your perspective on the communication aspect, but knowing that in other countries that things are a little different in terms of the communication between sexes and the attractive levels is a whole thing in itself. So we should definitely take a page from other people's books.
Absolutely.
But it's partially tough for me to say, like, today's like my 8-year anniversary with my wife, which is
Hey, congrats, man.
exciting.
Hey, what a great pod.
It's funny how that worked out today. But no, it's working along and helping people and your partner move together in life. And I think some of this, from a relationship standpoint, from long-term relationships, you grow with a person, you're adapting, and it's making sure, and I like what Matthew McConaughey said to this, yes, you can have seasons to where you might be a mile ahead of your partner, but make sure you don't leave them behind.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're having that communication to tell them, like, obviously, where are they at, what tasks you're doing, what are some of the small wins you've had to relate with them. And then also, it's not about yourself, it's about the other person and about us together working as a whole moving forward into this world.
Beautiful. I love that. I remember that short from him. That was a cool one.
I love that, man.
He's got a lot of cool perspective pieces that he talks about. I like a lot of what he says.
Even Rob Dyrdek, I don't know if you've seen any of his
Dude, I like
shorts.
Rob. Rob's got a cool story.
Smart.
He's got a very cool story. He's incredibly smart when it comes to marketing. People don't understand that. Guy's a master.
Especially with MTV early on. It's a whole thing. But more or less the point of that is he sends in the morning, each and every day or every weekday, he sends a short email or text to his wife on some of the tasks that he has going on for the day, so they can still stay connected.
Yeah.
But then he's going to town, so it's creating that connection, making sure that you yourself, if you are the go-getter, that's quite frankly that you're still communicating to your partner, or let's say vice versa. Let's say, for example, your partner is the go-getter, but you're like, I really don't care. Making sure you're communicating, saying, this is my perspective. I want to make sure that we're still on the same page and moving together as one. I would love for you to send me, or start small in terms of habits and tasks. What you got going on for the day, or maybe after the end of the day, staying up, waiting for them, and still communicating, having that connection. Because at the end of the day, it's people skills, it's connection, it's relating, and then helping support each other in this life that we have.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So when it comes to the kind of things, so this is perfect. You already talked about that. As far as what are some other maybe routines and rituals that you can do? The checking in, the text, the calling, that's all incredibly important, and probably more important than you think, because it seems simple, but you don't understand just how important that can be for someone, not only for a partner, but maybe even a friend and someone that maybe you haven't even connected with in a while. And so there are times too when I'm just randomly thinking about a friend and I'm like, oh, maybe I should just text him. And it doesn't even have to be, how are you doing, what's up? It's just, hey man, thinking about you. I just remember this was amazing the other day. Or it doesn't even have to be anything where you're trying to engage with them, but even just that subtle reminder that you're thinking about them, you appreciate them. Believe me, it doesn't go unnoticed, because I know I've gotten those from my friends, and in a time of need when I'm like, oh man, I really appreciate that they did that for me, and that means a lot for people.
Absolutely. And I think that, so to add this into tools and application, because that's such an important factor of anytime you come across something that you may feel like it relates to someone based on like your guys' connection and experience, and keeping that connection alive with a small text every week, month, maybe even once a year, quite frankly. I mean, it helps so much. So on your drive home, use your phone safely, like don't go on your phone while you're driving, but maybe use voice commands, text this person, and then send a text or call that person on your way there. So optimizing the time that you're like potentially mentally turned off or don't have too much going on to maintain those connections long term.
For sure. And with others that are out of the state or across a long distance, you may only have the ability to call and Zoom. So we understand that. But even making sure you have scheduled monthly Zooms or monthly calls, I definitely don't go with what I feel like everybody has is your circles. And I have much smaller, tight-knit circles, and then maybe circles that are more on the outside. And so my circles, my tight-knit, that's every day. And then the other ones are more like weekly, monthly, and then maybe yearly. And that's just good to have you prioritize with who you feel is most important. It's not that they're less important, but the ones that you just obviously don't communicate with as much, but you still want them as part of your life, and it's still important to check in and communicate, and I'm sure they appreciate that.
I think that is such an important stepping stone for the next topic of who is in your circle.
Yes.
And why do you want that person to still be in your circle? Are they building you up? Are they helping you become a better person? Or are they negative? Are they more like a pessimistic person? Or is this something to where this is family members, parents, spouses, significant others? If they're not building you up, it's harder to have that connection long term.
So Doc, I got a question for you.
Please do.
How does someone make your circle?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd say someone that is optimistic, that cares, that checks in, that's easy to hang out with or communicate with. Because I think anytime someone like not necessarily buys into like me or myself, but is able to support me through the ups, the downs, I think is someone that I feel I want to stay connected with long term.
For sure.
It's a really good question. Actually, I've never thought about it from that perspective. Yeah, I think it's, and I think for most guys too, if they feel supported, that's half the battle. But yeah, no, I think those are some of the basics.
Have you ever looked from the outside in with maybe a friend and their circle and thought, gosh, I just don't know if that person belongs in that person's circle?
Oh.
What are some of the things that, where do you find someone doesn't belong in a circle? Like for you, what would put someone out of your circle?
Yeah, that would be, let's say, for example, looking in to another person, maybe that person with a group that shouldn't maybe belong. I think a lot of it comes back to with your perception of what are they positive or negative person. I think that would be a huge standpoint. If there's a positive, optimistic person in a negative group and that positive person has to keep uplifting the group over and over
Yeah.
again. That's so much energy
For sure.
that can be, I don't want to say wasted, but better spent on people to surround yourself to build you up. Because the more that you're stuck in negativity, it's hard to get through tasks throughout your day. It's hard to build, grow as a person.
For sure.
So that's a huge standpoint. And I think that's also where, for me, and the people that I'm maybe not as connected with now versus when I used to be, is earlier on looking at, is this someone that cares about me? Is that someone optimistic, positive versus negative? I cannot and I will not surround myself with negative people, and I screen that out in the interview process as well for hiring someone for who I work with as well. It's who you surround yourself with matters. I think we were talking prior to this, Hormozi said this, I think best is, it's not the 5 people you surround yourself with, but in addition, looking at the perspective of, it's the 5 people that you try to emulate or work towards becoming.
Yes.
Obviously try to be a better version of yourself, but certain traits and skills maybe working towards a master, if we will. So that is something to say of when you're looking at who you surround yourself with. What are certain things that you like as a person? Maybe someone that can relate with you, maybe someone that's outgoing, maybe someone that's is maybe not outgoing but more reserved. Each person has their own tendencies and people that can not only relate with but then share a different perspective to grow as a unique connection relationship moving forward.
Very much agreed.
Yeah. What about you? What are some of the things that I guess you look for with your circle, and then maybe certain things that you wouldn't find that you don't want to connect with certain people on?
For sure. I would say it's different based on certain settings, because I have my non-negotiables and then I have my negotiables. And that's how I put it. So my non-negotiables is honesty, transparency, and integrity. That's with any relationship, anything. If I have a friend who lies to me a lot, it just not something that I believe in. I really try very hard to stay transparent and honest with everyone that I talk to. And it's hard for me to lie now. Like, I've gotten to that point now where my life is just so much easier when I just tell the truth and I stick to what's right. And I just feel like the energy in the world brings so much better benefit when I do that.
It's hard to remember lies and multiple.
I want to be myself. I want to be right, and I want to tell the truth, and that's it. And then, of course, integrity. What kind of person are they? Are they mean to their spouse? Are they mean to their friends? Are they negative? Like all that. That's umbrella for a lot of things you probably already talked about. But my negotiables, it's how do they treat me, obviously, in relation to other people, and I want loyalty. I want that person to know that I'm going to be there no matter what for them. I will do whatever I can. If it's 2 a.m. and they need me to frickin' bail them out of jail, or I don't know. I don't have any relationships like that. But obviously, if you need to be able to rely on me, because I'm gonna give you that as far as the amount of effort into a friendship and relationships. And where I grew up, I had a lot of those relationships because that's just how people were. They did anything for you. They were very giving, very loving, very caring. And so that's what was built into me, was you do whatever you need to for the people you love.
Beautiful.
And that was what I would expect in a friendship or relationship. Things that tend to deter me is I always like to say, you always know who your real friends are when you share your goals with them. And so this is how I choose my friends. If I share my goals with someone and they immediately have some advice or negativity towards it, then I know they're not a true friend.
Yeah.
But if it's a goal, any goal, and they look at it and they say, man, I don't care what it is, I'm going to support you, or they don't have they're not looking to push advice on you or change you or shift you. They understand what you are as a person, and you're comfortable sharing the goals with them because you know that they're going to support you. And even if it might not be a good idea to them, they're like, you know what, man, no matter what happens, I'm with you.
Yes.
And it's such a good feeling to be able to share things with another person and not expect advice or judgment or negativity.
That's actually a good point. Stepping stone for another aspect, even though that is incredible. I absolutely love how you put all that too, because it's a different way to think about it, but I feel like the same thing.
Now, if it's a horrible idea, I do expect them to at least say something, but the way they communicate it also is helpful as far as friendships. If some of my friends came to me with an idea and it was horrible, I'm going to be like, hey man, I appreciate you bringing this to me. I hope you absolutely get this done. I just want you to know, what if this happens? Curious what you think on this. Not, dude, that's dumb. Why would you do that? There's definitely a way to communicate it.
Yes.
And a friend of mine and I actually just had a really very deep conversation about life a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
And in it, I had just brought up that I'm like, hey man, I appreciate you feel comfortable sharing this with me. And I hope you know that I don't want to be the guy that's just going to give you a bunch of advice. I just want you to know that I appreciate you even wanting to share this. And I hope that I give you some positive value with what I have to say about it. And I hope that you don't think I'm trying to change. And I just stated that because that's what I want. And he's like, no, seriously, I appreciate everything we do when we talk, and this was really helpful. And it was just, that's such a more meaningful conversation when you treat each other with respect and you treat each other as if you're not looking to change each other, you're just trying to help each other.
100%.
That's it.
And from that side of things, even prefacing a conversation, maybe with friend to friend or a significant other, or different male versus female, different sexes, communication of, is it something that you're looking for advice, or is it something that you just want to be heard, or just try to let out whatever situation, circumstance happened?
Yeah.
And maybe prefacing the conversation earlier on, say, I'm looking for advice, this is what's going on, what do you think? Versus, especially if there's a person that you can trust that will give you their honest feedback, whether it's good or bad, versus someone that wants to just unload, like, for example, my wife, she, as a nurse, there's a lot of stuff she deals with working with cancer patients that she just has to offload.
For sure.
Just communicate, and then maybe prefacing that conversation saying, hey, this is what was going on for my day. Are you able to listen?
Yeah.
Because some crazy stuff has happened. And then knowing that, not necessarily giving any like advice, but just absorbing and being there for that person, and then maybe asking, this is my perspective, or this is what I see from the situation, maybe what do you think?
Yeah.
And maybe not giving your opinion right then and there, but maybe going about it, asking the question, would you want to know what I would do, or do you think, or how would you think that person reacts to a certain situation?
Yeah.
So just going with from a question of maybe asking them, do you want advice, or do you want more input into the scenario or situation?
You're wrestling with the problem together.
Yes.
Versus you versus her.
Well stated.
And that's so helpful, because when it's us versus it versus you versus them,
Yes.
it's just such a way better conversation. Attitudes,
Yes.
Everything, for sure.
Well stated on that one.
Yes. Let's see, where are we at?
That's a good
Growing
question.
together.
Yeah.
I like that one, because that'll round out what I was going to say
I
with
like that
my
too.
friends too. But
Yep.
we talk about the Michelangelo effect. Help each other become your ideal selves. That is one last thing that I would say is super important in the friendships that I have, because the ones that I hold really near and dear to my heart they're growers, they're strivers. They want to be the best, they want to grow, and they want to help each other. And anytime I reach out for help, it's always just met with absolutely boom, like I'll help you. And it's never a question of like why, or it's just always, oh yeah, absolutely, I can help you with that, boom. Or we're just always there for each other.
100%.
And it's never a question of why or judgment. It's just, hey, or it's even if I think it could help them, I'll send it to them anyway. And maybe they use it, maybe they don't. But we're always just still sharing everything with each other and information. And whether they listened to the reel I sent them or not, it doesn't matter. The fact that I still send it to them meant a lot to them. Same for me. I do think that's a huge piece to having a great tight-knit community, is just wanting to better each other and grow.
100%.
Yeah.
And going back to that Michelangelo effect, to explain from a different side of things. So the Michelangelo effect of looking at from the perspective of, if you have a stone and if you envision whatever your goal or future is within that stone and start carving around it to work towards that goal. Same thing of having relationships, friendships that kind of help you. Maybe you start feeling fatigued, you don't necessarily want to work on that goal or future. Having that input of exactly what Doc said of, are you able to support, to give feedback, motivate, be there for that person, to give them energy to keep working towards their goal?
100%.
Or better yet, also help them chip at that piece of stone for their future as well.
For sure.
Just a different way and different metaphor to look at that scenario.
And wanting to do it.
Yes.
That's another thing for me.
100%.
Like, I can't wait to help people. And I look at that as such just a natural instinct for me. If you feel comfortable enough asking me for help, I'm going to give you everything that I can. It's such a privilege for me to get that question asked of help, and that's just how I view it. It's
Especially
a privilege.
if they're in their closer circle.
For sure.
Circle.
It's a privilege to help people. It's a privilege to be asked for help, and I want nothing more than to help everybody that I can.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that will also go into, if you're able to help someone, you also want to create new experiences to grow together long term as well.
For
which
sure.
goes back to what's known as the novelty rule of experience an activity or a situation together that is something newer for maybe either one or both of the people or a group of people, which will help not only them in their dopamine cycles for the pursuit or their engagement towards any task involved with that, but looking at doing something together as a whole helps connect and bring and connect bonds,
Yeah.
if we will. So like, for example, we had a couple new hires at work. Knowing that was a factor, we wanted to get out of the work setting and do something together as a team to connect and solidify the connections.
Love that.
To help build that community.
And I would say, as being getting to be a part of your team, for now I obviously got my team, that was such a crucial step in building a chemistry with the team.
Oh, yes.
Being able to get more personal and getting outside of the workplace setting, both of those, I would say, characteristics of the team building aspect is really beneficial when it comes to getting more out of the team,
Yes.
getting more connection, getting more perspective, and you finally getting to see that your colleague is maybe more goofier than you thought, or more fun, or because people do have their work hats and they have their personal hats, and everybody wears their hats, right? And so
Yes.
getting to see them in a different light can open them up to maybe a different perspective of each other, and it's almost always beneficial.
Yeah, well stated. And this
Yeah.
goes back to the last episode in terms of culture and creating that bond in your workplace or at home.
Yeah.
Similar thing of when you're creating these relationships, like what we were saying, is creating that connection together as one, as a whole. So certain things that you do, maybe it's, for example, going out and spending time one-on-one with a person or a colleague that maybe you don't connect with, that can create a whole new connection, which will help subsequently your work environment and the time that you spend in work. Or it's maybe acknowledging another person's achievements or struggles and helping them through tougher times, thus subsequently helping and connecting with them as well.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother thing. And going back to your point of learning personal details of certain people and then relating and communicating effectively, whether it's a one-on-one or a group scenario, will also help.
I also think, back on personal details, where if you do want to get closer to someone, maybe it's not that you have this tight knit of people and you want to create a better or engaging relationship with them, but maybe it's you don't have any yet.
True.
But one thing that I think can help is observing what they like and starting that conversation with them. Make it about them.
Love that, yes.
Because there are things that, or what you can do is observe and find things that you both like and have affinity for. Because that also,
Yes.
that is one of the quickest ways to bring someone's guard down. And I've found over time that I'm really good. I also just, for some reason, have a lot of random knowledge about a lot of topics. And it's just enough amount of information that I can keep a good conversation going with a lot of people, with most people. But what you'll find is, if you can find that one subject that lights them up and you can keep that conversation engaging for them, man, do they become a different person with you. And then next thing, you're able to communicate more effectively with that person. And whether that's in the relationship, whether that's in the workplace, friendship, if you want to build deeper connections, just find what you both have affinity for, or even just what they have affinity for, and allow them to speak on that, because then they feel heard and listened, that you're interested in what they are.
Yes.
And that's also, I think, a great way to build the bond.
That's really well stated.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a different way to look at the perspective of understanding and creating these connections. Yeah, I don't think we'd say it any better.
So Doc, with
Please.
every episode we've been doing, we liked to involve AI in how to possibly improve and grow in our lives. What would you say is a great way to use AI in order to help build relationships, improve friendships, what have you? What do you think can be done?
I think there's a bunch of different routes you could go with this. I'll state a few specifically to get you guys' minds going. So whether it's you have a relationship, you want to make sure that you're cultivating and continuing to grow that relationship or maintain, sending either reminders of either past experiences that were done together, birthdays, significant others' birthdays, in addition, either setting that on a calendar and or speaking straight into like ChatGPT, Gemini, or any AI, most AI softwares of saying, can you remind me or put this and connect this to my Google Calendar of this person's birthday or this experience that we had together, or schedule out a time or event 3 months from now, a year from now, to reconnect with this person. Using AI to help schedule out to maintain the connections that you have will be important.
Yeah.
Another one would be in terms of using like warm-ups. So going back to your point of connecting to a person and asking them questions about certain things that they like, or maybe they're certain things that they're excited about and working towards, excuse me, is a thing that will get their dopamine cycles up, be easy for them to talk about it, but then also relating. So going back, using using AI, saying, acting as a friendship mentor. I have a friend or a group of friends, this is their names, this is their personalities, things that they like. What would be 5 questions or 3 questions to ask them when starting a conversation?
Yeah.
So you can already go in to have a couple ideas and how to start that conversation.
Like that.
And usually when you have that, in addition to being curious about that person and their process, obviously will help that connection, but also move towards a longer conversation and then help towards a relationship as well. So it's a mixture of that one. Maybe it's even what are experiences that you can do with someone new. So acting as, saying to AI, acting as a relationship mentor. What are a few different experiences that we should look into, where like maybe 5-10 experiences or things that we should do together. Maybe these are our interests, mine and theirs, or a group of people, and then show it to AI. From there, it'll give you some different perspectives on maybe some places nearby.
Yeah, that's
or
awesome.
Anything like that. Yeah, anything on those?
The only thing I have that I think definitely ties into what we've been talking about, which is more of the where we need to go versus where we've been trajectory. Do you know what the number one thing AI is used for right now?
I would want to say helping with content, but I could be very wrong.
Companionship.
Ah, interesting. That would make sense. Okay.
Yes. There are so many people out there who are talking to AI like they're a friend.
Wow.
Because
Crazy.
they don't have that.
Yes.
And to me, that is a problem. And so when we talk about this today, it wasn't just to talk to, we think we can help you with your friends and your family and whatever. This is our perspective. No, we're trying to tell you that we need to connect as humans. And how do we do it better so that it's more engaging, more fun, and healthy for each other? Because right now, AI is competing with friends. That's how scary it is out there. And so I just want everyone to know that there are plenty of people out there looking to connect. And right now, AI is easy.
Yes.
But trust me, it's not fulfilling long term. It just isn't. And so I do hope that everybody starts to, maybe that has been a struggle for them, or if they've been too busy, or post-COVID, they're just not set up that way like they used to be. I would challenge you to definitely go out there and start to connect with people, make it more of a routine, make schedules, and just know that it is one of, if not the most beneficial things you can put into your life is other people.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this world.
And I think going back to exactly that point of between ChatGPT, Gemini, Gronk especially, Gronk from that perspective can relate to a person and create that companionship, that connection better than most. But I think even Gary Vee said this of, give it 20 years, people are going to be in relationships with an AI or some form thereof.
He also said there's such a lack of connection that you're going to pay someone to walk with you in 20 years. That'll be a business.
I can't even imagine.
And I hope we don't get there.
And what does that do to not only the psychological, neurochemical side of things, but even just human civilization years, decades, 100, 200 years down the road? It's going to more than likely break us apart. Again, theorizing, like there's a lot of stuff that AI and technology can do to help support us, but it's nothing like our hormones, our genetics of when we're hunters and gatherers, we relied on a unit, we relied on a group of people to survive.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Tribes.
It's that connection. Tribes,
man. Find your tribe.
So it's different than AI and completely trusting in an actual physical entity to help you in your everyday life. Because I think that connection is important, but coming from a human or even just any physical, like a pet can also help as well. The physical matters, I think, more so on a neurochemical standpoint versus a technology versus physical or human level.
Yeah.
And that's the main basis
Love
for
that.
all this.
I love that, man. Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for continuing to support and watch and listen. We appreciate each and every one of you guys.
Share, subscribe.
As always, yes, please share, subscribe, and until next time, you guys have a great day.
Disclaimer: the content provided in this health podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately. Reliance on any information provided in this podcast is solely at your own risk. The creators and hosts of this podcast are not responsible for any actions or decisions you may take based on the information presented.
Thanks for joining us on The Functional Code. For more evidence-based health insights, subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, your journey to a healthier you begins with understanding the functional code. Until next time, stay well, stay informed, and embrace the science of living well.